as the Rafah operation expands to take out Hamas in the Gaza Strip and the northern front continues to escalate. Here to speak with us about the next steps is Israeli journalist and talk radio host Josh Hasten. Josh, thank you so much for being with us today. I'd love to start by getting your take on this Rafah operation. To start, there was this humanitarian pause announced during the daytime, but the operation is also expanding to target the remaining terrorists. Will this pause actually hinder IDF activities or perhaps even prolong the operation?
Well, let's hope not. Let's hope that's not the case, because the IDF must dismantle the remaining 4 brigades there, the 4 battalions of Hamas. So again, the longer it goes, the worse off it is. This operation needs to take place as soon as possible, and the remaining Hamas brigades must be wiped out. Again, we saw the humanitarian aid pier, which the United States built, spent $320 million on it, and now the pier is not even operational. The Biden administration must understand that Hamas must be taken out. Now, the focus has to be on not establishing these piers, these stopgaps, if you will, but going full force, allowing the IDF, helping the IDF go full force into Rafah and take out the remaining Hamas brigades. That is the only solution. That is the only way forward. Israel must dismantle Hamas completely, get back the hostages, and as the Prime Minister said, make sure that Gaza is no longer a threat to the state of Israel.
Now, on the diplomatic front, we've seen recent, fairly harsh criticism of Hamas by the U.S. administration, but the world still seems to be blaming Israel for not making a deal to release these hostages. Why do you think that there is such a skewed misrepresentation of the reality when it comes to even these hostage negotiations?
Yeah, as we saw, the support for Israel continues to wane, unfortunately, after October the 7th. But nevertheless, the good people of the world who understand that this is a battle between good and evil side with the state of Israel. And if you talk about the United States as represented by the members of Congress, their constituencies, the vast majority of the American people, they understand what's going on here. They understand the reality of the situation, that Hamas must be wiped out. And, how many deals were put on the table? Hamas is rejecting every single deal that Israel puts up right now. And that's the reality of it. So we saw the heroic rescue operation take place just over 2 weeks ago. And I really think that Israel must continue on a military path in order to get those hostages released. I don't think Hamas is willing to sign any sort of agreement. And of course, Israel doesn't want to have hundreds of terrorists released from our prisons. We've seen that before. We saw it in the Gilad Shalit deal. Unfortunately, all those, or the majority or a lot of those terrorists who were released went back to terrorism and even were involved in the October 7th massacre. So we cannot have a situation as badly as we want to bring the hostages home. There's no doubt about it. Every Israeli wants it. And the families are doing everything in their power to make sure that happens. But those who are not family members, direct family members, we have to understand and take the responsibility that we do not allow another group of terrorists released to keep continuing, perpetuating the violence against Israelis for generations to come. So Israel must be strong. We must go in. We must take out the terrorists and bring back the hostages like that.
Now, in northern Israel, we've seen tens of thousands of Israelis displaced as a result of this war for over 8 months. Now, we're discussing a potential operation in Lebanon. Is this the right move to get Israelis safely back in their homes in the north, or is it a potential disaster?
I don't know what other choices we have other than a full military operation in Lebanon. It's not something we want, just like we didn't want the operation in Gaza. It's not a war we chose. But you cannot have a situation where you have 80 to 100,000 Israelis out of their homes. It's already been 8 months, and that's 8 months too long. So Hezbollah is a much more serious threat than even Hamas. So they must be dealt with. And it looks like that militarily, that's the only way they're going to have to be dealt with. So Israel definitely will have to make some serious decisions as we move forward into the summer. We cannot accept the reality on the ground. We cannot have rocket fire from Lebanon, which is taking place now on an hourly basis. Sometimes on a minute-to-minute basis, we have rocket fire from the north. Of course, we still have rocket fire from the south. So number one, we have to deal with the situation in Gaza. We have to eliminate the remaining battalions of Hamas, and then we're going to have to turn our attention to the north. And Hezbollah, of course, violating UN Resolution 1701 after the Second Lebanon War. It's absolutely unacceptable, and Israel should not be pressured into making any further concessions to Hezbollah. They are a brutal terrorist organization. They must be wiped out.
Following up on that, the U.S. administration is pressuring Israel already when it comes to Lebanon. We saw that Josh Hasten came here to Israel to meet with the prime minister regarding a potential operation in Lebanon, calling for de-escalation. Do you think that in the event Israel does move forward with a military operation in Lebanon against Hezbollah, that there will be an even greater divide between the United States and Israel?
Listen, it's absolutely possible, but Hasten was here before negotiating a deal with Lapid in terms of the gas reserves, and that was supposed to buy us peace and quiet. And at the end of the day, when you negotiate with terrorists, you don't get peace and quiet, you only get more war. And that's why we're in the situation we're in now. These are not people that can be dealt with in terms of negotiations. They have to be dealt with militarily. So again, the United States could be very, very upset about Israel moving forward when it comes to the situation in the north. But this is the one and only Jewish state. It's the only country we have. It's the only state we have. And we cannot accept the reality on the ground right now. Hezbollah has violated every UN resolution. Hezbollah has violated our northern border. We cannot accept that situation, even if it means going toe-to-toe with our best friends. And the United States is the best friends of Israel. We know that. That's undoubtedly true. But that being said, if Israel has to go at it alone, whether it's dealing with Iran, whether it's dealing with Hezbollah, then that's the case, and we have to move forward.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for your time, Josh.
Thanks so much.